So, good morning, good evening, and a very good afternoon to each and every one of you. It's not so much cannon fodder, it's more like the cannon rides again, if you want to believe that. But I am joined by my good friends, Paul Marinello, and of course, James Rowe, who's just around the corner in Amsterdam. I believe we're waiting for the Godfather himself, Eltel, the original Godfather, but we're going to keep the ball rolling. And the ball rolling, James.
Hello.
How you been?
I'm very well, thank you. Happy New Year to all, and best wishes for 2025.
Brilliant. And of course, Paul, welcome back. And it's been a while. We've
yes,
talk about Arsenal.
Yeah, well, it's favourite thing to talk about, really.
I was talking about favourite thing.
Well, when we're doing well, we did get a result yesterday. All but just, but we'll take anything.
Okay, all right. James, let me know your thoughts about Arsenal. In the last 3, 4, 5, 6 months, 3, 4, 5, 6 years. James.
Well, I've been supporting the club, since '89, and went to my first game in February 1991, and went to so many games before I emigrated here, and attending games from Amsterdam since 2011. I just get the impression that Arsenal at the minute, we're a massive football club. We've got a rich history, but we appear to not want to back that up with winning trophies. It's all about a process. It's all about a lifestyle. It's always about like virtue signalling. Big clubs in the world, the first and the most important thing, the core business, if you like, is football. And it's winning things. And the fact remains, if we don't win a trophy this year, it's 5 years without a trophy. It's substantial investment. And my question to every single Arsenal fan is, where do you draw the line? Where do you draw the line? Because history won't say with an asterisk. History won't say, oh, but they faced Man City. History won't say, oh, there was a threat of the European Super League. History will say, we didn't win anything. And I've noticed that with people on like forums and BBC Have Your Say, people that defend to the hilt, and I find myself thinking, if they do that in a hobby sense, what must they be like in their own lives? Because everyone goes through good and bad times. It's part of life. But, the fact that I even had a colleague where I work at the Amsterdam City Council, and he said to me, and he wasn't even joking, it was just a throwaway comment. He said, James, you're an Arsenal fan, but Arsenal don't win nothing. I said, well, I'm not going to disagree with you. This is an Ajax fan.
That hurts. Yeah, that hurts. That hurts.
This is
that was a bit naughty.
He wasn't rude. He wasn't rude about it. And obviously we talk about football and different things, but he supports a club that's won the European Cup 4 times. That's won 20 Dutch Cups. That's won I think 30, 3 Eredivisie titles. Obviously people say there's only 3 teams in the league, but you still got to go and win it. And I just get the impression at the minute. I mean, it really grates me that everything at the club, on the website, everything to do with the brand, it's got to be like film. Big smiles, nothing off the cuff, nothing normal. It's got to be pictured. Like if you look at every word from Mikel's presser, he's smiling like a Cheshire cat. He's smiling like he ain't won nothing. And another thing, and I was saying to my colleague, and they couldn't believe it when I said it, but I was honest. I said, I went to my first game in 1991 at home to Crystal Palace. We won 4-0. George Graham was our manager. Steve Coppell was their manager. Now, I'm aware that times have changed. But in my 36 years of supporting the club, I've never seen an English manager. And I was saying to my colleague, can you imagine Ajax 36 years without a Dutch manager? Can you imagine Real Madrid 36 years without a Spanish manager? Can you imagine Bayern Munich?
James, do you think that's just an Arsenal problem?
No, but it's something I've noticed. It's something I've noticed. And I think as well that, like with Moyes returning to Everton, he's a brilliant manager, David Moyes. But when he left, nobody would have said to him, "Oh, by the way, in 11 and a half years' time, you'll be coming back here." He'd have said, "Nah, that's not happening." But I think lots of managers now. I think the emotion outweighs the logic. I mean, I'm currently reading a tremendous book, the biography of Jack Charlton, and it's brilliant. And I know that times have changed, and I know that society has changed. But in the chapter where he's talking about Middlesbrough, and he looked at Middlesbrough, and he thought, well, they're a good side. I can help them. And in the book as well, it stated that he was aware of the stature of the club. He was aware of the history of the club. And because he was aware of that, he thought, I can be drawn towards it. And I think with Arsenal at the minute, I get the impression as a fan of 36 years, the football comes second. Football comes second to the brand. And that's what really annoys me. I don't expect Arsenal to win something and win everything every year, because that's unrealistic. But I think in all the time I've been supporting the club, I think half that time, so that's 18 years, we ain't won nothing. So 18 out of 36 years of supporting the club through thick and thin, we ain't won nothing. I'll stick with them until the very end, because you can change your socks, you can change your job, but you don't change your football club. But I just get the impression from the top down, football appears to be secondary to the brand, to the virtue signalling, to the campaigns. Be it like, for example, we don't play in white. We're not Real Madrid. We're not Leeds. And all this No More Red campaign, we are a part of London. We are a part of North London, originally hailing from South London. If this is a London-wide problem, it's not condensed just to Islington, is it? So why are we the only one playing in our direct rivals' colours? I find it very strange. Yes, it's a very important subject, of course it is. But we have to remember, first and foremost, we are factually, in my opinion, the third biggest club in the entire country, behind Manchester United and behind Liverpool, in terms of history, honours, stature. But we don't act like it. But we've got an opportunity in the future to act like it. And I'll close by saying one thing. I was chatting to a Galatasaray supporter last week, and we were just chatting about Arsenal. And he said to me, obviously we're speaking in Dutch because obviously he lives in the Netherlands, but it translated, he said to me, if Arsenal as a club want to accept their current position, then that's their prerogative. But don't forget, you can also do something about it. And I walked away from that conversation and I thought, well, just a simple conversation with a colleague, about his team Galatasaray and my team Arsenal. And then for him to say, as a big club that Arsenal are, if you want to accept your position, if that's what they accept, then that's their prerogative. But they can change it and they can do something about it.
I can see the Richard Godfather has joined the debates. But Paul, I saw your facial expression when James mentioned about, we've never had like a British English manager.
Yeah, there's a lot of reasons for that, boys. We probably we need all night to go into them. The fact that it costs an absolute arm and a leg to go through coaching courses, and there's lots of red tape, and it costs a hell of a lot of money. The other scenario is the snobbery involved. We always think that the foreigner's best. Now, and absolutely, we have been lucky to see some wonderful players come from different shores and put their mark on the game. Bergkamp, just one example, and wonderful players, and we've been lucky. Thierry Henry, but you see, managers, that's fine. I've got no problem with anyone of any nationality, but we do seem to be throw away with our British managers. I mean, I didn't think Gary O'Neill, for example, was doing a bad job at Wolves. He got all his players sold. You know, what's he supposed to do? And, you know, it's the other thing. If you British, you know, and the other thing, there just seems to be a manager merry-go-round to please the masses and the media. Now, at the end of the day, it's about managing is got a lot of facets to it. But the most important thing is getting the best out of your players, making sure your players are running for you, are trying for you. They could be having a nightmare, but even if they're having a nightmare, they're putting it in for you. I think in our case, they are trying, but some of them are having a nightmare. And you know, I'm quite critical, can be quite critical, because I think if you're not playing well, no matter who you are, you get hooked. You need as a manager, you need to be strong to say, right, I don't care if you're Odegaard. I don't care if you've been amazing. The last 6 games, you've been poor, son. Take a rest. But we've got no one to put, no one. Ewan Airy brought him in, and unfortunately the kid gets injured. We're lacking with creativity. We seem to have we seem to have went the opposite way from the Wenger model of creative, small. Now we're kind of like, remember Germany in cups back in the bygone era when they were strong and hard to beat, defensive, and not as exciting as you would like to see. I think we've gone that way a little bit. You know, when you take Saka out of the team and you take Martinelli's the one that can go at people, but I'd like to see more pace in the team. Here we're going for Sesko, and also there has talks. If you believe the rumours, Victor Gokera, I can never pronounce his name, from Sporting Lisbon, but I've heard we're after those two. Now, my criticism would be less so if they actually went and got someone that they need. Because if Mikel Arteta really truly believed we could get over the line with Havertz and Jesus with their record over their careers, you know, you can't believe. Surely you can't believe they will win you the title. They're good players. There's nothing wrong with them. They are brilliant in terms of linking the play. But to win titles, you need that little bit more. That's just a fact, isn't it? I mean, hopefully you all agree with that.
I mean, Paul, are we going to go for a striker anytime soon? Because,
they've been telling that if they're ready to. Certain sources are saying they're ready to trigger Victor Gyökeres's 85 million euros. That might be absolute rubbish, but But then you got another area saying that Sesko would be available for 51 because of a gentleman's agreement he's got in his contract. Or he's not got, but he's got a gentleman's agreement with Leipzig. So it's interesting. Those two are very, very sought after strikers, but they're not Premiership proven. Brian Mbeumo, people like that. There's been rumours about looking at, even thinking about him. Ivan Toney, these type of people. But you need someone that just gets goals anyway, anyhow. They need a lift. If they can get a lift, and somehow this is only 7 points. You hope Brentford takes something off Liverpool on Saturday. 5:30, we get points. It's squeaky bum time for Liverpool. Anything's possible. But the way they're playing, I can't see it. And unless we see a complete change of way, dynamics, I don't see it. I don't know what everybody else thinks. I mean, Terry, what do you think?
Well, by the way, sorry I was a bit late, lads. The old car broke down. I had to get the RAC out. But anyway, I'm here. Yeah, I mean, Paul, I'm sure as you've seen, it's the way Arteta's playing is the way Pep Guardiola at peak Barcelona played against us. You couldn't get the ball off them, but it was desperately boring to watch. There was no pace. It was just, slow build up, squeezing the opposition back, and then, I think there's a famous quote that Guardiola said, that when he buys players and he trains them, he said, "I can teach you how to defend, I can teach you how to work in midfield, and I can do all of that, but the front three, your forwards," he said, "I leave it to your invention to be able to score." Right, that's pretty much a paraphrase of what he said. And of course, you can see exactly the same sort of blueprint going on with Arteta. He's got a very well-marshalled defence, even though the fullbacks keep getting injured. He's got a reasonably good midfield, except that, as Paul said, and we're all agreeing, every Arsenal fan sees this, without Ødegaard, there isn't a lot of creativity in it. But up front, they couldn't hit a barn door. They couldn't hit a barn. And I've got this big thing that one of the things I loved about Ian Wright when he first came, he was a bit rough and ready, but he always, he improved immensely with all the training. But if the ball came to his left foot, he didn't faff about with it and get it on his stronger foot. He hit it with his left foot, which is exactly what Trossard did to score last night. The ball came, it was on his left foot, and he thought, well, I'll fire away a shot because it might surprise the goalie. In the end, if you watch it carefully, it bounced in front of the goalie's arm and then bounced over his arm. But it took him by surprise, And I don't know why. My current beef, if you go to the minutiae of it, is apparently Rice was talking about when he first joined us. He said Arteta was insistent that when we play the ball, we play it to a player's stronger foot. Well, I'm sorry. There's nothing wrong in being half decent with your weaker foot, And I did that when I was playing. I was right-footed like Paul's dad there, and I loved playing that wing role. But I also knew that I had to make sure my left foot was good. I could do everything except dribble with it, but I could take corners with it. I could take shots with it, And these guys are all like one-footed. Havertz is a perfect example. The one he missed in front of the goal the other day and ballooned it over the bar, he had to use his right foot, and it was just a tap. Almost a mishit would have scored, but he tries and plays it with his wrong foot. So, personally, I think Arteta is caught. Now, I know he's got a lot of what they call aplomb. He gets up there, he doesn't look bothered by it. I did read he does at least 45 minutes of meditation in the middle of every day's training. So he's sorted his head out. He knows what he's going to say. He doesn't look ruffled. Personally, do you know what I think's behind it? These guys are on a king's ransom. They are earning so much money. Why rock the boat? So your first job is to look competent. Look as though, yes, we knew that was going to happen, and yes, we're looking on the transfer market. But in the end, he's working for his boss. And all his boss, this is another hobby horse of mine, all Stanley Kroenke wants is to keep Arsenal in the first four. That keeps the European Cup money coming in, and we will have a European Super League, and we'll have Arsenal America and all those other things another 10 years down the line. That's the model he wants. He wants a closed league like they have in the USA, and therefore Arsenal will be playing all the big teams all the time. He'll fill the stadium. He'll have people flying in from all over the world watching. He's not worried about the local people living around London that have followed Arsenal their whole lives. Meaningless to them, and it's not a pleasant experience. I managed to get a couple of these family and friends tickets off some mates, and I go to the odd game, and I was there. I can't even remember who we played against. It was such a forgettable match, and the seat I was in was six rows from the back, right? It's a good job I had those long distance specs in my pocket. And then I went down during half time and I seen these lads queuing up for a drink. And do you know what they have at Arsenal? I don't know if you've been there recently. They've got this automatic pint dispenser. So you wave your credit card against it, and this pint glass, you put this pint glass, plastic one, into this dispenser, which is angled at like 45 degrees, so that it creates a head on the pint. And I'm thinking, eventually, the whole thing's automated, and all they need is my money. They're not too worried about whether I cheer. They just want my money, automatic drink dispenser, carry on. I mean, pubs are meant to watch you. And if you're getting too inebriated, then the governor says, sorry, mate, you've had too much. The way Arsenal have got it running, you could get yourself legless, and they're quite happy. Just keep paying. So it's not a pleasant experience. And you can go to watch the opera for an awful lot less.
So you mentioned about, you know, the hierarchy of just wanting Arteta to secure top 4. That sounds familiar, doesn't it? Arsene Wenger was the same. Secure top 4, bring in the money, you know, and we're all good. But James, one thing I realised from the penalties when we were playing against Man United, the players to me looked so emotional. When the Man United players went up to take the penalty, they were so calm. Is that a reflection of the manager, James? That he's emotional, they're emotional. They're emotional, the manager's emotional.
Yeah, we are a reflection of him. I saw a really good quote on a BBC Have Your Say midweek where they said, Arteta's slowly turning what was a very dignified club into a very unlikable club. If you look at the way he acts in the technical area, now, if any other industry leader, anyone that's got like an exemplary task, if they acted like that, they'd be removed. Sometimes it looks as if he's on the pitch. He's not in his technical area, and he's literally going bananas. I only played to county level, and I played a couple of games when I first arrived in the Netherlands. If I had a manager like that, I'd turn around and say, look, I don't want to play for you. If you're going to be in my ear for 90 minutes, if you're going to tell me what I'm supposed to do when I know what I've got to do. And I just think that, he's very lucky to have started his professional managerial career at such a massive football club. We're not a charity. If somebody's a gifted computer programmer, they don't start at Google, do they? If somebody's a talented musician, they don't start in the Philharmonic Orchestra, do they? But we seem to think it's all right. It's okay. And obviously the people here tonight, vastly experienced, extremely knowledgeable, and they've also seen a lot of things. Every single one of us speaking here tonight has physically seen Arsenal win a league, physically seen Arsenal win in Europe. We don't have to dream it because we've seen it. But what happens now, you've now got 2 generations that have never seen Arsenal win the league, certainly never seen Arsenal win in Europe. So what do? Do they imagine it? Do they imagine what it must be like? Yeah. Or do they recreate it on the PlayStation, not knowing that the first immediate sensation you get when you win the league is relief, that you've actually won it. And then the euphoria comes after that. But it's just unreal the way the club is just like last night against Tottenham. Why are Tottenham playing in blue? Why is it not red and white against white and navy?
It's money, because they want it. They want to shift the shift more of the second kit or third kit or whatever it may be. So the game has changed, hasn't it, James? I mean, I think the game's changed completely. I mean, now it's all inverted. Coming inside, where's the wingers? Where's someone that actually can give you a little bit of excitement? It's very sterile is the word. I want us to be a little bit more dynamic. When like people like Tierney going down the wing, getting the cross in, all that kind of thing. Now, look, I don't. everyone has opinions about who should be playing where and when, but they need to get money. They need to be spending if they want to show ambition. And if they don't do that in this January window, when the results went for us this week, they went for us. We've had a nightmare run, but we still got a bit lucky against Spurs. We crept by, we got through, maybe just about deserved, but but we got through it. Now they need to do it, and Mikel needs to deliver. I said, I mean, I'm not. I don't like. I think he seems to be very tyrannical. The players maybe are scared to do something out of the ordinary. Are they out the team? We need. I don't know what it is, and we do need something. Odegaard has just went off the cliff. Is that his twin brother that's come back? Because honestly, he's off. That boy was brilliant last season, beginning of this. And then all of a sudden, his passing's poor. His work rate isn't quite, for me, what it was. Because what I loved about him was he worked his ass off, And I don't know. It's just there's something glaring. And, why was Rice not starting last night? It's a vital game, Spurs, to win that game. It was. So for me, Rice has been doing okay. He got, there was a few players from Sunday that got pass marks. Martinelli, Rice, and whatnot. But so I thought they got pass marks. It wasn't a terrible performance on Sunday, but we just couldn't finish. We were getting down the flag. Sterling came on, did well. And everyone's saying Sterling's not up to it. No, well, he doesn't get a chance. You don't get a chance, and you don't get good unless you get an opportunity of games. Now's the time for Sterling to deliver game after game while the other players are out. And we can just hope that we stay in the mix. Because the last 2 years, let's be honest, we should have won the league. It's just either poor management or the players were not mentally resilient. Now, so it was Arteta's job to look at that and say, okay, who's not strong enough to go through it? Who do I have to replace? Are you guys going to get me over the line? But you're seeing players have a nightmare, and then the player that's playing well is being taken off. But the player, just because their name's whatever it is, some of them are staying on. And it's not just me saying it. I'm speaking to people that I know who, are football people, and they're saying the same things as I am. And it's just, we need, for me to be a good manager, or any manager, it doesn't matter who the player is, whether it's Messi or Ronaldo, if they ain't doing it, you hook them. And you say, and you be straight with them. And I'm not sure that's happening for certain players. I mean, every player needs to know that his place is under threat, because if they don't, then staleness comes in, and you need to be on your toes.
Paul, you mentioned that they need to spend money. Well, he's had £750 million.
Yeah, he has.
He's had 5 seasons. It's been back to the hill. These are all his players, Paul. These are. No,
I agree. If he doesn't win a trophy, for me, there's a big decision to make at the end of the season to see, okay, the Arsenal hierarchy should be looking, okay, if we did pull the plug, who would we go? You need to start succession planning as on a plan B scenario. And because the point is, going back to what you guys were saying before, especially you, James, who are we? If we're a team that lets a guy run the show for 5 years without winning anything, and then suddenly say, well, that's fine. We've got second place, we've got third place, that's okay. And we've backed him. I think his last chance saloon, I think if Mikel Arteta should be demanding money in this window, and because if he was saying, if my job's on the line, you give me Sesko, you give me Gyökeres, you give me a striker in this window, and I'll deliver a trophy of sorts. I mean, have we progressed in the last 3 years? Have we got better? It's debatable, isn't it? What do you think, guys? What do you think? Have we improved?
No, I don't think we have. I think in recent years, particularly in Europe as well, you mentioned about, also fighting in the Champions League. We're in the Champions League. I think our poor away form, in particular in Europe, under Mikel Arteta, has been vastly underreported. To lose in Lens, to lose in Porto, to lose in Munich, to lose in Eindhoven, to not get a result in Lisbon. To lose in Milan, to draw in Bergamo, and we've got Girona coming up at the end of this month, and although they're not in great form, it's our European away form, and I think the backroom staff. I mean, Terry's often said it. You need a strong number two. You need a strong backroom staff, and I think our manager doesn't really pay enough attention or pay enough heed to his backroom staff. I think his backroom staff are people he coincidentally met on the coaching course, and all right, I'll have you. And in the case of Stuyvenberg managed in Belgium, didn't really cut the mustard, has not really been linked to jobs here in the Netherlands because, obviously he's got a past with Feyenoord, but he's not. You don't see his name coming up in relation to a Willem II or a Go Ahead Eagles or an FC Utrecht. And I just think that I don't think Arteta wants to surround himself with a strong backroom staff. I think it's all got to be about him. But as the way I think about it as well is that history will judge us. History won't go into the ins and outs of Arsenal virtue signalling. History won't put an asterisk by going, oh no, it was important for his kids to finish their GCSEs. History is not going to say this stuff like this. History is just going to say Arsenal didn't win nothing. And for Arteta to lean on charity shields and community shields
that's
and proclaim that
ridiculous.
he won them is a pure sign of desperation.
Yeah.
Pure.
I was not happy about that. My son said that. Oh, but we won the Charity Shield. I went mad. I went absolutely mad. I said, "You're having a laugh. That's a game." And I said that Charity Shield was because we were second. We didn't win anything.
Yeah.
I said,
one of them was
and I'm like,
and the other one was the FA
oh.
Cup. And one of them was the penalty shootout. Well, both of them were penalty shootouts.
Yeah.
Could have easily gone the other way. But as I was saying earlier on, Paul, as well, if you look at the website, every single every single image portrays the kind of positivity of Arteta smiling like a Cheshire cat. If I was in his shoes, I wouldn't be smiling because I'd know if I don't win anything this year, I've lost my job. And
that's another thing. You need to be pushed.
Yeah.
It's everyone said, "Oh, you can." He's done so well. He's done so well. He spent 750. I totally agree with you, Alex. 700. He has spent 750. But what my take is, we will judge him. I just hope that we're all proved wrong because I don't think unless he gets reinforcements, nothing will change. And I just hope that I'm wrong. And I would love us to win something. Do you know what? It would be just wonderful for us. It's just a Champions League, just fabulous. Do you know what I was actually saying to my son the other day? I said something really crazy. I said, we need a striker. Let's get Ronaldo to the end of the season on loan, just to wind everyone up. Because at least that guy would have in a dressing room, would be given this. You do this, you do that, get the ball in the box. And when the ball's in that box, that geezer will go and get on the end of it. He might not be the quickest anymore, but is he slower than Havertz or Jesus? Well, I'm not so sure. I think he's a bit as quick as them. So I'm just saying that's crazy because of the affordability of it. But I would try everything in my power to get, try the arrogant, the egotistical route with someone like that and say, well, we didn't win it with Henry. Your legacy would be unbelievable if you be the first, to win, to help us get over the line in the Champions League. Why? Listen, what the hell? Let's go for it. And the Arsenal fans would just say, get behind it. But I would get behind that. But it's just, I thought it was crazy. But obviously, preferable going at someone like the two guys I mentioned. But I would try any trick in the book just to give the place a lift because it needs it. because the players don't seem to have the self-belief that you need. I don't know if look at the body language. Look at Mikel Arteta's body language. He went mental in terms of his after he won that game last night.
It's one game
against a side that's really struggling
and depleted and short of confidence. And you were saying about the likes of Ronaldo. Arteta wouldn't want a real winner around. Because he wouldn't know what to do. And he'd also be overshadowed by the winner. The winner would literally be taking his job. And I think what people need to remember, Mikel, I'll go on record and I'll say it once again. Mikel Arteta, at the tender age of 42, 43 years of age, he will never get a better job than Arsenal. Never. So when he leaves, whatever he does, he'll never get a better job than Arsenal. And
I think he knows that, but he must know that because, listen, we've got the potential to be bigger than we've ever been.
Yeah.
Because we had this young team, everyone was looking at us, they're going to win things, they're going to do this. It ain't materialised. We're up there, but we've sacrificed a lot of our game. We're very dour to watch now. We're a bit like the 89-90 team without the goals of Alan Smith and Kevin Campbell.
And panache of the likes
and
of
Rocastle.
Merton.
Oh, yeah, they had Rocastle, Rocky, and we had the Magic Man and Ray Parlour coming through, Winterburn, Dixon. People forget that before the Premier League, we had good teams and we were decent. And, it's just... we just can only hope that the hierarchy are looking at this and thinking, we don't want a situation where Arsenal need to drop off a cliff for there to be change. But then they've invested so much, as Alex was saying there, so much has been invested that they don't really want to get rid of Arteta because it starts again.
Yeah.
And Kroenkes do not want to shed out cash. They want it coming in. And that's the problem. And this is a problem with football in general, is that it's all about the brand, it's changing it. Everything's got to change, man. No, we like it the way it is. Hands off.
And it works. And if it works, if something works or if something is unfashionable or unorthodox, what's the problem? What's the problem? But in this day and age, with, as you so rightly say, with the brand, that's why nothing will happen to City. Nothing will happen to City because they don't want the brand to be affected. And to think in 2025 that you've got different facets coming into play when football should be the most important thing. I certainly didn't believe that, especially in the modern day, that it will be almost 21 years since our last title. You've got two generations that have never seen it. So what do they do? Just imagine it, do they? And as I've been saying at the start of the show, where do you draw the line? And it'll be interesting to see what happens. I think it'll be another nearly miss. I think it'll be another nearly miss where Arteta expects to have that following season because it was such a near miss. But then again, you can say the same about last season.
And the season before that.
Yeah, and the season before that.
When he's playing Zinchenko, who's getting caught left, right and centre, but he kept on and he kept on and he kept on. And now, where's Zinchenko? He's apparently surplus to requirements. But yet he bombed. But there has been mistakes made, and I know managers make mistakes because even at a small local level that I manage kids, I make mistakes. Everyone makes mistakes, but the more crucial thing about making mistakes is you have to learn from them.
Yeah.
And I'm
busy
learning from them.
I really think if he had a strong deputy alongside him, in fact, Steve Round was forced to resign because he didn't agree with a few things Arteta was doing. And he's gone straight away. So you can bet that Albert Stuyvenberg has seen that and thought, right, I'm going to keep Sturm here. he's taken too much power himself. And as we all know, he keeps buying players that he knew before, like Zinchenko and Jesus and all that. And he's going on stuff he kind of knew in the past about them, instead of looking at how well they're currently playing. So, and I do worry that there's a lot going on behind the scenes we don't know. We know suddenly Edu went. Suddenly didn't hand in his notice or didn't get an option to. So he's suddenly gone. So that's a massive gap. It just looks to me like there's trouble. Huh?
Well, yeah. Did you hear the reports about that? All of a sudden, something reported that it was because Edu was not happy with the amount of power that Arteta was getting. But apparently Edu's come out and said, well, that's not the case. But for him to come out and say that's not the case. So, I mean, it's strange. And the thing is, that's a big loss. He's going to Forest with the greatest respect. I mean, Forest did have won the European Cup twice, but, Arsenal have the potential to be a gargantuan super club. They do. London, big stadium, potential to expand that big stadium, huge potential. And he's walking away when his stock is so high. It doesn't. Is that Greek guy, the Greek guy at Forest, the owner? Is he really paying that much money? Possibly. I don't know. It just strikes me as very unusual.
But also, Forest have got a very experienced manager. Very experienced.
James, if not Mikel Arteta, who? I get the time. If not Mikel Arteta, who would you prefer have at the helm?
I know who I'd want.
Well, I could give you a fair few, but I'd be laughed at, I think.
Go for it.
One of them hasn't got a job. One of them's now a consultant. Born in Stuttgart, won a European Cup, managed the likes of Mainz, Dortmund, and Liverpool. People say, "Oh, he won't come to Arsenal." Why not? Why not try? Why not try? We've got nothing to lose. Gasperini, Atalanta. Zidane hasn't got a job. If you work for the biggest club in the world, you can
that's an interesting one.
But if you work for the biggest football club in the world, you can teach Arsenal something. Surely.
Yeah.
If you work, we can, so that's free candidates. People say, "Oh, we're never going to get them."
I like two of those free candidates already.
but people say you're never going to get them. You don't know until you try.
Absolutely.
There's a famous Dutch saying, relates to everything in life. And it translates to the following: you've already got no. You've already got no.
Yeah.
So if you ask, you might get a yes. And if we can sell the club properly, there's a great video from Jurgen Klopp in 2013. Now this is just a simple question and answer, but this answer encapsulates why Arsenal don't get over the line. When he took Borussia Dortmund to the Champions League final, he was asked by the ITV crew, what is the one quality that a Jurgen Klopp team must have? What do you think he said?
Not sure.
Character. Character to be able to respond and to not be satisfied with small steps and to be brave. And he was saying about facing the mighty Bayern Munich, that they are gargantuan and people think they win too much. But my team is going to be brave enough to make them think. My team is going to be brave enough to try and beat them. And I looked at that video and I thought, character's what Arsenal's missing. Arsenal's missing character. In the title run-in, we're missing character. Specifically in Europe, we are missing character. I mean, I still can't quite believe that I've been fortunate to see about 35 live European games in my life as an Arsenal fan. I still can't believe that I've accrued so much experience watching European football live at Highbury, at the Emirates, and also 3 games abroad. And we've reached one final and one semi-final in the European Cup, and then in the Europa League. And we've got you know, Girona and Dynamo Zagreb coming up. We've got the opportunity to be ambitious.
Yeah,
We haven't got to settle for second best. We don't have to.
No, we haven't. We haven't, because
don't have to settle for second best. All we have to do is have the bottle to say we are Arsenal and we don't accept this. We don't accept almost 2 decades of not winning a league title. We don't accept having never.
Oh,
is he cut off?
Tel, I'm going to give you a last shout before we go into the live chat, Tel.
Yeah, you know, I personally think he's got to do a couple of things. He's got to, first of all, appoint a good deputy, if somebody who disagrees with him, because he's made an awful lot of errors. And yes, he'll learn, but then he'll go off and be a better manager elsewhere. So if he's going to stay, he's got to get an old head around him who challenges him. I think he overcooks the players. Do you remember Tavares, who's pulling up trees out in Lazio? When he was playing for us, he was obviously a very talented, massively strong left back. And he was I remember watching him when I was up in the West Stand, and he was being screamed at by Arteta to do this or do that. And I saw this look on the eye on the face of Tavares that I've seen when teachers ball out kids in front of their friends. And it's the look you don't ever want to see if you're a teacher, because you've upset that kid. Now, for him to be bawling out Tavares in front of 60,000 fans has obviously wound the fella up. So man management, if you're going to do that, take him aside on his own if you have to bawl him out. But actually, you get a lot more out of people by praising all the good things you do. I also think in tandem with this, I'm absolutely convinced that we're still overtraining them. We're still overtrained, which is why we're getting these guys. Come on, they're overtrained, both mentally, because they're trying to remember what Arteta's told them. Don't lose the ball. Play this way. Play that way. Play it to the strong foot. All the stuff. Yeah, he's got all that going on, and they're overtraining them. He's always talking about training. You know, I remember with Tim, who might be, hello Tim, if you're watching. I remember Tim's team that I was helping him with got to a final. And the final was on the Saturday, and we were supposed to be training on the Thursday, and there was the rain came down and it was cancelled. And I said to Tim, that's actually good, because we've trained them enough. We don't need to overtrain them, push new ideas into their heads, and they went through and won the final easily. So don't overtrain them mentally as well. They must be going nuts with the systems he's got. And, you know, when the corners are coming in, it takes them 5 minutes to try and remember which one are we doing now. You know, it's and even throw-ons now. He's obviously drilled the throw-ins, and they're spending 3 or 4 minutes looking at who they're going to throw it to. No wonder they're getting booked for it. So, listen, if all of this would be cured if he had a wise old head alongside him to say, no, there's a better way of doing this. But unfortunately, I think we're training Arteta up for his next job. He's making all his mistakes with us, and then he'll go off and be, I'm sure, reasonably successful elsewhere. And unfortunately, he's getting paid a king's ransom. He's got fame, he's got fortune, and that's a heady perfume. He loves it. Otherwise, why wouldn't he have his deputy taking some of the press conferences? Why is he always there? Completely. You know, just pass it on.
Terry, you just made me think of something, mate. There's another player, a striker. When you were talking about throw-ins, Liam Delap from Ipswich.
Oh.
He's a good striker. You get his dad to come on do the throw-ins, you know.
Yeah.
Guys, I have to go to the live chat. Let me go to the live chat for the first time. Yeah. So we've got Pesci who says it's not about the English manager, James.
No, we're an English club, are we not? Based in the capital city of England. Does that not mean anything then? It doesn't mean anything then.
Pesci, does it not mean anything, Pesci?
No, does it? That's my question. Does it not mean anything? Does it not? Does it? Spanish league, Dutch league, Italian league, French league, German league. It means something. There are 55 associations in UEFA. 55, and they've all got respective leagues. That all means something. That's all. It's otherwise, people like to blur the lines, but it's important. I find it quite embarrassing. And I'll give you an example. When I was explaining this to my colleague, and I said, can you imagine Bayern Munich 36 years without a German manager? Real Madrid 36 years without a Spanish manager? Ajax 36 years without a Dutch manager? Do you know what his one-word response was? Unimaginable was his response. Unimaginable. As in other countries, that would never happen. But we seem to think it's all right. It's the same with Thomas Tuchel.
James, do we think it's because we've got a low opinion of ourselves in relation to coaches? But when you think of the coaches that we have produced,
I think so. And you made a great quote about the price of courses and how expensive they are. I think in the case of England, I think it's 10 times more expensive than Spain.
Yeah.
10 times.
That's why they've got huge amounts. Yeah. I think I did a course and they were saying how many coaches in Spain there were per head. It was a lot. And they had a lot more than ourselves. So what do you say? I mean, I think there is some fantastic English managers around. Yeah. Scottish managers as well. I can think of a couple of local. I think Northern Irish, isn't he? Kieran McKenna. One. And my personal favourite's got a great last name, which is Arsenal related. Eddie Howe. I know he's at Newcastle doing very well. I've always thought he's been fantastic. What he did at Bournemouth, where I live, is not Bournemouth aren't little Bournemouth anymore.
No.
But what they were and what he did is remarkable. And and people said, could he do it with the big egos? Could he do it? Well, he's doing okay at Newcastle. Yeah.
He's
but we have good managers. We do. And we need to give them a shot at some point.
Yeah, let's go on to the live chat. So I've got Tim Hogan says, great to see you all from a very sketchy Irish rail signal. I need to sort out the signal. I've got Carl, Liverpool supporter, says, hi everyone. Hi to you, Carl, as well. I've always said we are the biggest club in the world. Okay. Quote, Herbert Chapman, Sally never had an owner to build on this. Eltel, is that true? Herbert Chapman?
What was that? Say that again.
I was just saying about Herbert Chapman. We've never had a manager to build on what Herbert Chapman built up for Arsenal to build.
Well, do you know what? I'm going to give you a quote from Herbert Chapman. One of the inspectors that came in to these Ofsted guys came in and see me in the school years ago, and part of my lesson was to look at an Arsenal program and do a critique of Tony Adams' English. And this fella was really nice. He said, I love that. He said, because the kids obviously like Adams, and you were showing that maybe he could do with a little bit of instruction in a school. And he gave me this book at the end of 5 days of Ofsted. He said, I'm a Man United fan, he said, but I really like what you're doing. And I picked this book up and I think you'll really like it. And it was by Herbert Chapman. And it was basically a collection of the articles he used to write weekly for the Daily Express. And they're wonderful to read. And one of the things he wrote, this is in the early 1930s, and Arteta should be reading this. This is what an assistant manager should be talking to him about. And it is, listen to this, Paul, because you're with me on this slow build-up. It drives me nuts. And what Herbert Chapman said is a simple phrase. He said, you can have the ball too much. And what he meant, he explains it later, is sometimes you need to draw the opposition in towards you, and then when you nick the ball off them, then you've got a load of green space behind them, that your forwards and your wingers. Remember, Herbert Chapman was the guy that realised that when the new offside law came in, that teams would push up and try and catch you offside. And if you had, like Paul's dad, a winger who could go past people, either by dribbling or just sheer pace or a mixture of the two, suddenly you've got, number one, you've got a golden opportunity about to happen, because the guy on the wing is going to cross it into the middle. And also you've got exciting football. And instead we've got this desperate, slow, suffocating. They're trying to suffocate the life out of teams, and it isn't working. Now, we would never have got to this if he'd have had a guy, Arteta, alongside him and saying, try something else. And if I was a player, you see, the players are not good. They probably complain a little bit amongst themselves, but they're all earning big money. But isn't it interesting that currently our two best players have been Wanyeri and Miles Lewis-Skelly, who are young and fearless. Young and fearless. They haven't had Arteta in their head all the time, and they're coming on. They're playing it off the cuff, and that way you can't be read by defenders. I did read Sol Campbell's autobiography, and in it he said, when you're a defender, a forward can always beat you once because he's got a trick in him, and it's, he does this and he drops the shoulder, whatever. But he said, I always made a point of remembering all the little tricks they tried on me, and he said they never beat me with the same trick twice. Yeah, so that's the whole point of not being programmed, and currently Arteta's programming them, and you can bet all these guys Arsenal, along with all the clubs, have a massive department where people analyse. They call them analysts, and they will be analysing the thing to the umpteenth degree. And to me, they're squeezing the fun out of it. They're squeezing the absolute life out of the game. So I want to see somebody saying something like this into Arteta's ear and saying, change it round, surprise the opposition. But it's the same.
For once, yeah, go around the side. I mean, we come inside, it's infuriating. Have someone that go on the outside and the one time a couple of games ago, Trossard's had a bit of a bad time, but he's coming back. But he scored last night, and a couple of games ago, he went down and he got the cross in with his left foot, and what happens? He's created a goal. It doesn't happen often enough. I mean, maybe I'm old-fashioned, call me old-fashioned, but at the end of the day, getting down the byline and crossing it back, the centre-halves can't see it. It's behind them. Everything's in front of the centre-halves, and it's easier for them to defend against. And that's why we're not so free-flowing as we were, because everything tends to be in front. And we don't have, other than Martinelli, who's the legs that gets beyond? You need that. You need to be able to stretch teams, and Arteta he was a very good football player. He was a very good professional. He should be seeing all these things because it's so obvious to all and sundry. It really is. Anyone that I know of, anyone says the same thing.
Paul, I think he's too close to it. Sometimes when you're a leader and you're in charge, you're almost too close to what's going on. And that's why a good assistant would be giving him a different viewpoint, not nodding to him and agreeing, because it isn't working. And Pep's system, even Pep himself said, this only works when you've got world-class forwards across the front line. But he had Messi and some phenomenal forwards there.
And Ronaldinho.
If you're doing it with regular... Yeah. So he's got to think, if he thinks of this, then we could pull back on Liverpool. It's just about possible. But he's got to change this slow suffocation. It's driving us nuts. You can feel the joy, the oxygen of joy just being suffocated out of the game. And you're sitting in a seat 3 from the back or whatever it is. And you're thinking, I don't know why I'm here.
Well, talking about joy, this podcast has come to an end. So no more joy. The hour went very, very, very quick indeed. I'm kind of feeling in my waters. We might have to bring Canon 4 TV back. No, that's never going to happen. That's never going to happen. Maybe. That said, James, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you back again on the channel.
Yeah.
Really, really good.
Yeah, really enjoyed it. I thought there were great points made by all.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
I'll leave every fan watching with one final piece of advice. No matter what we say, no matter what we do, no matter what stats we pull out of thin air, history will judge us as a football club. And that will happen this season too.
Well said. Well said.
Yep.
Paul, fantastic fella.
Thank you for having me.
Brilliant.
And let's hope the next time we speak, we'll be celebrating a trophy win.
Yeah.
Because football is a funny game. What was it? Funny old game, Greavesy used to say. So you never know. We just got to hope that you know we get a late Christmas present, and we'll see.
Okay, brilliant. And last but not least, the original Godfather. He might just make you.
Yeah, great to be back. Great to see all three of you. You know, and it's good because we're all passionate for Arsenal, and we're passionate for football. You know, and I'm sure if you distilled everything we've said, we've given Arteta, if you like, an awful lot of pathways that he could move this team forward, you know, without adding extra players. Although I wouldn't mind Sesko in there, I must say that. That's one more thing. Listen, the reason he'll prefer Sesko over Vlahovic is because, and this is mad, isn't it? He's right-footed. Whereas Havertz is left-footed. He doesn't want two left-footers alongside each other. The guy's nuts.
Anyway, guys, this has been the Cannon Rides again with
Hey.
James and, of course, Elto, the original Godfather. Guys, stay safe. And, yeah, whatever we say, it's not going to influence Arsenal. Mikel, are you listening? Are you listening? Maybe
yeah, he is. Come on, Mikel.
Bessia.
Take care, guys.
Take care, guys. Have a great evening. See you later.
See you guys.
Bye bye.